So what is a RIP? Why should we be using a RIP? And how do we use Mirage from Dinax? Well, hello, welcome to this Photospeed video with me, Tim Jones. Today what I'm going to be looking at is RIP software and standalone printing software, and mainly the Mirage software from Dinax. Now, Mirage is a really nice piece of software designed just to print. It is there in between your editing software, be it Photoshop, Lightroom, Capture One, and your printer. And it has some really nice features in that makes the whole printing process a lot easier, especially if you're a large print house or a printer and you have multiple printers and multiple jobs going on, and it streamlines your operation and make things a lot easier. However, for the semi-professional amateur that is at home and wants to print, they can also be really useful because of certain features they've got built in that can also streamline and make your job a lot easier when it comes to printing as well. So before we get started though into diving into the world of RIPs, please don't forget to subscribe to the Photospeed YouTube channel. So just click that subscribe button in the bottom right. Also, sign up to our newsletter as well, because we've got exclusive discounts going out in the newsletter. And also you keep up to date with all the news and happenings and things going on with Photospeed. And if you haven't already, please download the Photospeed Art of Printing, which is a free ebook from us here at Photospeed and covers everything from, say, turning on your printer to custom profiles, to framing, to mounting, to finishing. So it's well worth a read. Even if you're starting out in printing or you're a seasoned printer, then well worth a download. It's got something for everyone in there. It goes right from the beginning right up to the advanced level of things and kind of explains everything in there for you. So well worth a download, and that's the Photospeed Art of Printing from photospeed.com. Okay, so let's dive in to RIPs and Mirage. Okay, so let me first talk about what a RIP is. It is basically, in very simple terms, a RIP is a raster image processor. So it's a bit of software basically that tells the printer how to print your image. Photoshop and Lightroom have this kind of built in. They have a RIP processing facility in there that transfers data. Drivers also have that capacity as well, so it's certainly different. Now, I am simplifying things here. I know that there's probably people out there that can explain to the coding level about what RIPs do and things like that. I'm not here to do that. Basically, a RIP is there and it tells the printer how to print your image very simply. I know there's a lot more to it than that. So it basically takes your computer's data, your file, be it your JPEG, PDF or whatever, and it transfers it into data or raster data that your printer can understand and print and fire the nozzles at the right time and things. Now, there's quite a few RIPs out there on the market. There's some that are really expensive, some that are probably on the more cost-effective end. The Mirage RIP that we promote here at Photospeed kind of sits in the middle a little bit. The prices range from about £90 all the way up to £400–500, depending on how many printers you need, what size printers even as well. If you've got a big, large roll machine that's got 12 inks from Canon in there, it's going to be a little bit more because it's got extra bits in there and things. But for just a one printer that works on, say, a P700 like I've got here, it's around about £90. So it is a little bit of an investment, and hopefully explain why it could be useful for some of you watching this. If you're running a large print house and print studio and things, then it's probably a little bit of a no-brainer in a way, but it is that investment, I understand. But if you're at home and in this situation that I'm kind of in a little bit, then hopefully I'll go through why it could be useful for you and why it's worth looking at as well. So one of the big advantages of using a RIP instead of Photoshop or Lightroom is that you can have all your settings saved in that software. So you can select your printer, your media type, and it's all named, it's all customized for you. So it's a lot quicker. You haven't got to think, oh, what do I need to set that paper to? You can just select it. And once you've got it all set up, you can very quickly streamline your printing process. Also, it takes away any problems that could occur with drivers being installed incorrectly, like the AirPrint issue on Mac. So when the driver decides to try and update itself to something that Apple think it should be, and it just doesn't work, and the color management is all wrong. Also, speaking of color management, the color management happens all in one place. You don't have to think about turning off any color management on the printer or assigning profiles or anything like that. Once you've got it all set up, that I'm going to show you how to do, then it very much streamlines the whole process. Also, adding borders and paper sizes and scaling images is very quick and very easy. It's quite similar to Lightroom, the print module in Lightroom, or the Canon professional print and layout software, or the Epson layout software. However, there's a lot more functionality within Mirage that you can get with those standalone programs. There is also plugins for Photoshop and Lightroom as well. So you can be very quickly, instead of clicking File, Print in these softwares, you can just click File, Plugins, Mirage. And you can load your pictures up into the software, and you can print them and mess about with them and do whatever you want to them in there. But it is a really nice piece of software to use to print. I use it a lot when I'm printing swatches and things. Everything I have is nice and set up in Mirage, and I can just go in there, select the media types I want, the paper types I want. I can do layups for swatches and layouts and things very, very quickly. That makes my life a lot easier and a lot quicker. However, if you're at home and you're going between different prints and different papers and things, it really can help you and improve your printing as well. So enough of me talking. Let's actually get into the software, and I'll show you what it can do and some of the features, and basically how to get started in the software as well, because it can be a little bit daunting when you first look at it. So let's jump into the software, and then I will show you how to use Mirage. So here we are on my computer. Now I thought I'd just firstly show you where you can get Mirage from. Tap Mirage RIP into Google and it will come up. But Mirage is from a company called Dinax. They're a German-based company. And if you go on their website, like I have here, you can have a look at all the options you can have for Mirage. Now, they do a 14-day fully functional free trial as well. So that's really, really worth doing. And at that point, you can then either contact us and we can upgrade you for you, or you can contact Dinax directly, whichever you prefer. They're currently on version 4 of Mirage at the minute. They are going to have a version 5 being released, but they haven't got a release date as yet. As you can see, if you do purchase version 4, you get a free upgrade to version 5 as soon as it's being released. I believe they are testing it for bugs and things at the minute. But that's where you can get Mirage from Dinax.com. Okay, but once you get it installed, it should appear as a little icon. Now, you've got two options. You can use it as a plugin through Photoshop or Lightroom, or use it as a standalone piece of software. So if you're using it as a standalone piece of software, you would export your files to a folder or pop some files on your desktop and then bring them into Mirage. If you use the plugin, I will show you that in a little bit, then basically everything that's open will be brought into Mirage, or anything that's selected through Lightroom, you can bring into Mirage through the plugin. But let me just click and open Mirage up. Now, once it's open, we should see a little box that says, please drop files here, or drop files here. And this is a little box here. Now, I've put a JPEG on my desktop to work with, and it's this that we're going to be working with today. So I can just very simply just drag it onto the big M here, and then it will bring that into Mirage. Now, this is the whole kind of interface that you see here. And like I said, it could be a little bit daunting to start with. And we've got some other things we need to have a look at and things in here. So first of all, I've already got a printer assigned in here, or a few printers actually that I've got. And you see I've got some media types already set up in here. But I've actually got the P700 here from Epson, and I purposely haven't installed that as yet, so we can go through the process of how we add a printer to Mirage. And you can have multiple printers installed like I have here, and also the media types will change depending on the printer you've got installed as well. So if I click on the Epson P7500 here, which is the 24-inch roll machine, you'll see the media types have changed. So it's really, really useful if you've got different types of printers and you're using multiple printers. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to add the P700. So at the minute, I've only got some Canon printers in here and the Epson P600 and the P7500, the big, large format machine. So I need to click on Add Printer, and then a little box will come up and it's called the Mirage Printer Wizard. And then it tells me a list of drivers that I have installed, but also it tells me I've got the Epson P700 connected via USB. So I'm just going to highlight that one in blue and then click Next. And then it will whir away with a little picture of the P700 and it will add the printer for me. It takes a few minutes to install, but then we can get into what we'd like the printer to be called. So I'm just going to keep it as the P700 because I've only got one here, but you could label them and number them here if you've got a number of different printers. So I'm just going to click Finish, and then the printer is ready to use. So once it's installed, we've got the printer selected at the top, and it says Print To, and we've got the Epson P700. Now also here, underneath, we've got On, which is our paper, and we've got all the Epson papers installed at the minute, which is kind of the standard. Then we've also got some quality options as well. So standard 1440 by 1440 or 5760 by 1440 DPI in here. Got a little button for finest detail as well. And then we've also got the option for the black overcoat, the carbon black option in there. Then underneath what we've got is our preview of our picture. Now it's a bit of a low res copy of this at the minute. We haven't got actual pixels in here, but don't worry, it will print off at the finest detail. Now, why it looks a bit funny at the minute is because if I move over to the tabs on the left-hand side, it's because I've got roll selected in here. Now, basically with Mirage, what we can do is start at the top and work our way down. So first of all, the first thing we need to do is decide on what size we'd like to print to. So I'm going to be printing from the cut sheet and the rear feeder, which is the top feeder. So we're going to pop that in there. And then we're going to put in here, we've got width, height and width in here, but we've also got standard size over here. So I can say I'm going to print on A3, and there we have. We've got an A3 sheet there, and we can move this picture around within there. It can snap to the middle for us, so it's in the middle, and that will be our A3 sheet. Now we've also got the option for borderless here, and we've got a small overprint, default large overprint, and it will tell us in a grey border how much of the overprint. So it's quite useful. I think it's about 2 mil on large and then goes down to quite small amounts as we move down. So I'm just going to print with a normal border. I'm not going to put in any overprint or borderless printing at the minute. So image size, this is where we can fit it to the page. So it will just fill it, and see we've still got a bit of a gap though. So let's fit to the page, fit to width, and it will just pop it widthwise across the page for us, or it'll fill the whole page for us. Now there's probably a little bit of cropping going on there as well. Or we can just have custom where we can put in 100%, or we can then put in a size at the top here. So if we wanted it 35 by, we could just change that number in there. Now underneath that, once we've decided on a size, we can actually then add a border in. So the best thing I find to do is fill with page, and then underneath in here, we can either set centimeters or inches. So I'm just going to do centimeters, and I'm going to put a 3 centimeter border all the way around the outside, and it does it nice and evenly for us. If I untick this little box in the middle here, it will then, we can adjust it unevenly. But what I'm going to do is just put 3 centimeters in, tick the box in the middle, and then we have a lovely border all the way around the outside. Now, once we've added our border, you will see that the actual size of the picture has changed, because what it is doing, it's not cropping any of the image. A little bit unlike Lightroom in the fact that what it will do is where Lightroom will add a 3 centimeter border all the way around the outside for us, and it will actually crop our image to fit. Mirage will not crop our image. It will keep those proportions for us. So in this case, to get that 3 centimeter border all the way around the outside, we are going to have to trim the top and bottom. And that's printing it on an A3 sheet. If we wanted it to be perfectly A3, what we need to do is we would need to crop our picture to the same ratio as A3. Now, we've got a few other options in here. You've got options if you are using gallery wrap bars as well. So you can have a play with that, and the overprint you need to wrap around. You can change the color of the border in here. Not something I've used. You can mirror the image as well. So you can extend it a little bit out. It looks a bit odd, but doesn't work too bad with that picture, but looks a bit odd. But we've got some options in there as well. Now, rotation. This is where we can rotate the image. So normally put it on automatic. And every time you do something like this, it does zero it a little bit for us. So we need just to adjust that. Now, the position. Now, this will center for us. It will center horizontally, center on the page, center on printable area, or you can put an offset in there if you wanted to. I'd probably say just center on the page or center horizontally, but there's different options in there for it as well. Placement. Now this is if you've got multiple pictures, because at the bottom here we've got a Documents tab, and you can have a few different pictures open. Now with the placement options here, you can then place a few pictures on a page, and if you click Optimize, what it will do is it will arrange those pictures for you in the most optical way to save paper. Not so much, doesn't really apply too much if we're printing on cut sheet, because we're normally printing on A4, A3, A2, etc. However, if you're printing on a roll and you're printing multiple pictures, it could be quite useful to print one vertically, one horizontally, and little ones in little gaps as well, so you can maximize your paper usage. So that is there if you need it. It's quite a good little tool as well, and I'll probably show it you in a little bit of what it can actually do. Another little thing which I think is fantastic is it does inward crop marks. And we've got a few, well, we've got a few print mark options down here, but we've got corner crop marks. Now these are inward, so when you make a cut, you will cut off whichever one you are kind of cutting. So if you're cutting across the top here, you will lose these top vertical registration marks. However, if we use inward crop marks, you will see here that we use inward crop marks. Basically, when we cut down, we're not losing, we're not going to be losing any of those crop marks in there. So a really, really useful tool, inward crop marks. And it will make our job a lot easier. We've also got central kind of registration crop marks, an outline as well, so we can cut along the outline. We've got loads of different options in here. We can put a label on there, calibration, so we can just check our colors and things. So if we're printing this and we just want to check that we're coming out correctly, then it will add that in for us in there. So nice, easy tool to use. So you can already see there are lots of options in here that you might think, well, you might not have used. However, you can see that as we're running through these, there's lots of useful things to use. I think the calibration bars would be very useful to use. And actually, you could see the color, you could see the black and white in here. That would be something I could quite easily use, I think, in my everyday printing. Especially if I was doing an edition run and I wanted to make sure everything was printing as it should. Now, that is kind of all the layout tools that are available to you. We've also got an option here that says color. Now, this is where we can select different modes. Like, so normal is going to use a profile. Then we've got grayscale or profile creation mode. Now, profile creation mode will basically turn off all color management and profile for us. So really, really useful for printing our test charts, because all we do is just pop the test chart in here and it comes up with profile creation mode. It normally detects. If not, we can go into the color option and select it. And it will do everything for us. And we just hit print and off we go. Really, really nice, easy tool to use. You don't need to mess around with the Adobe Color Print utility or anything like that. Mirage does it all for you. Just does everything. Disables color management and profiles and everything for you. Fantastic little tool. We've also got rendering intents here, so you can apply perceptual, absolute, relative, and saturated rendering intents. Normally we say it was either perceptual or relative to set, but you can set those there. And also this is a live preview as well, so it does give you a little bit of a soft proof of how the image is going to look. Not exact, I wouldn't take it as kind of gospel really, but the option is there as well. But let me move on to the next tab before we move on to paper choice and how we go about setting up papers as well. Because in the extra tab, this is where we can crop an image, we can put logos, we can do tiling. So quite useful if we're doing like newspaper, so quite useful if we're doing wallpapers or something like that. You can add tiling in here. Then we've also got the job management, so we can archive jobs and pause jobs as well in here. So if you've printed a job, you can archive it, so you can come back to it and use exactly the same settings and layout and everything and just print it. So it saves you a lot of time. The next tab across is photo. This is something I don't really use because there's some options in here. So you can do the levels and brightness and contrast, exposure and things like that, and sepia and white balance. I would probably say that if you need to edit any of this, then you need to go back into, say, Photoshop or Lightroom, Capture One or something, just to make sure that it's going to be more powerful in a editing software rather than in Mirage. Mirage is not designed as an editing software, it's designed as a printing software. So I would probably say to do all your edits back in your software, then bring it back into Mirage because it's a printing software. But really, we're going to spend most of our time in this basic tab. Also, we've got documents at the bottom here, like I said before. This is where we can have multiple documents and multiple pages and things, so you can have print runs and things. But a really useful little feature of Mirage is we can set up papers, and we can set up different papers to have profiles, etc., actually within Mirage itself. I should say another funny little feature actually is if you hover over the printer, it tells you all the ink levels. You'll see some of mine are quite low actually, so maybe I need to replace those at some point. However, At the minute, it's printing fine, so it's a nice little feature, little things. Okay, so let's set up a paper, and let's pick a paper like the Platinum Baryta. So we're going to set up Platinum Baryta on here. Now, what we can do is if we click in this list here, we've got all the Epson media types in here. If I go down to where it says edit and click, then what's going to happen is we're going to get a setting coming up, and it's going to list all the printers. If I just close these here that we've got installed. Now on the P700 here, I just want to expand this, because if I just click this tick here, what will happen is it will turn off all the Epson media types for me. So now I won't see any of those base media types listed, which is kind of what I want, because I want to set up my own media types that actually correspond to the papers I'm using. So in this case, it's going to be Fotospeed Platinum Baryta. So I don't want Epson Baryta in there. I want Fotospeed Platinum Baryta. So what I'm going to do is click on where it says Add Medium. And then I need to do a few settings first, and then we can start naming the papers and adding profiles and things. So in printer model, what I need to do is I want to go down and make sure I select the P700. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the base medium. Now this is going to be the base media type that the printer is going to use when it's printing. So I'm going to use the Platinum Baryta. Now on the Epson, on the P700, we actually have an Epson Baryta setting, which is what I'm going to use as the base media type. Now what I'm going to do is in the name, I'm going to call this Fotospeed Platinum Baryta. You can call it whatever you want, and also you can put other papers in here like Harlemuller Canzons and everything in here as well. But for me, I'm just going to use Fotospeed Platinum Baryta. Now underneath here, we have some quality settings basically. And this is going to be where we're going to apply, or we're going to tell Mirage to pull the ICC profile from. So in here, what you could do is you could print off a chart for each of these quality settings, and you could apply them individually within Mirage. So again, very powerful. You can go in and customize it down to the nth degree. I mean, you could do a profile with carbon black and then one without, and it will just use that profile. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply one profile for all, because that's kind of what I do at the minute. I have done different profiles, carbon black and things, but I found there wasn't too much difference between them all. So if I just click browse, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for P700 in here, because I need to find my profile. Now it is quite handy, I have to say, that if you have all your profiles, it's nice to just copy them out into a folder so they're nice and easy to find. Because as you'll see here, I've got quite a lot of profiles on here, all for the 700, and some of them are other people's, some of them are mine. I've been testing and things, so it can make it a little bit hard when we're actually looking for it, but I found the generic profile there, so I can just pop that in. And now I've got the generic profiles applied for all of these here. So we just need to click OK, and now that media type will be added, and it's as simple as that. If we click OK now, we only have one media type in here, which is the Fotospeed Platinum Baryta. Now if I wanted to add another paper type, it's as simple as going into Edit, Add Medium, and then say we're going to add the NST Bright White. So make sure I click P700. And the base media type for this one is going to be the Fine Art Matte. And I'm going to call this just Fotospeed NST Bright White. And then again, I'm just going to go and select the profile. So I just need to put P700 in. Loads come up. So let me just go down to N and NST. And there it is there. Let me add that in. There we go. And we just click OK. And now we'll just click OK again. And now we will have those two media types all set up for us. And now that's made it very, very easy to print, because we can basically just go, I want to print on platinum brighter. Okay, there we are. We set the quality option, probably finest detail on. You can toggle on and off the black overcoat as well in here, which is a lovely feature. And then we can just click print and we can print this out. Okay, so the one thing I did promise that I'd show you was the plugin. Now I'm in Photoshop here and I've got the picture up in front of me. If I go to File, Automate, then I should have options for Mirage Print and Mirage Print All. Now, if I click on Print, it just brings in the picture I have open and the tab I'm clicked on. If I click Print All, then it will bring everything I have open within Lightroom. Then it will bring everything I have open in Photoshop, or everything I've got selected in Lightroom, into Mirage. So let me just click on Mirage Print, and then what will happen is Mirage will open and it will bring in this file for me. And there we have the picture in Mirage, and we also have all our settings and things as well. And then we can go about printing this. Okay, so here we have the final print. And it's come out really nice. Like I said, we just need to trim it just down here, but the little crop marks on there make that nice and easy to do. Really happy with it. It's held all the detail really nicely as well. Mirage just does a really, really nice job. It just makes your life a little bit easier as well, I think, anyway. That we can just select that media type, set it all up and print. Easy to use, and look, the prints look fantastic that actually come out of it. So I hope that's been useful and it's given you a little something else to think about in printing. And if you are, say, a Capture One user and wanted to use a plugin or something to actually print through, because the print module is a little bit limiting, not as bad as it was, but it's a little bit limiting, then perhaps Mirage is the way to go. And it's well worth as well, if you've watched this video and think, oh, I might just give that a try, just try it. Do the 14-day free trial, download Mirage, have a look at it and see what you think. It may not be for you and you might stick to Photoshop or Lightroom or something. Absolutely fine. But hopefully it's giving you a little bit of something to think about. So as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just click that subscribe button in the bottom right. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Photospeed newsletter. We will have some discounts and things coming out as well, some exclusive discounts for everyone who's signed up to our newsletter. And also it keeps you up to date with all the news and things that's happening here at Photospeed. And we have a lot of exciting news happening this year. And also don't forget to download the free ebook on printing called The Photospeed Art of Printing. And it covers everything from turning on your printer to framing, mounting, bookmaking, color management, absolutely everything in there. Something for everyone, something for beginners who are getting into printing, and also something in there for seasoned printers who want to learn a little bit more, or also want to kind of expand their knowledge a little bit. So don't forget also, we have new videos coming out every Thursday on the Photospeed YouTube channel. So on that note, until next week, bye-bye.